one of the disciplines that I do in my artwork is silkscreen, and so this is a kind of printmaking, or silk screening is a part of the printmaking world. It's like one of the disciplines, and so we're going to do, in particular today, a paper cut silk screen, which is even more kind of interesting and stuff that you could almost do at home if you have the material to do it. So just to give people some context, so this is the screen. So this is a silk screen. It has silk on it that's stretched on a piece of wood, and so basically most silk screen or most printmaking techniques involve some kind of block or plate or some kind of like in-between component that allows you to get the image from its kind of aesthetic kind of birth transferred to another surface. And sometimes it's a block, sometimes it's a screen, sometimes it's a plate. In this particular instance, it's silk screen, and this is a type of kind of industrial silk that's made for this. So it's like the silk on a scarf would not really work because it's not coarse enough. So these are screens that we have made in the studio. So we're also using a technique called paper cut silk screen, which basically means that you have, in order to get, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using this ink and this thing over here, sorry for reaching. We're going to be using these squeegees and the ink, and we use the squeegee to smear the ink through the screen onto whatever surface. But we're going to be making t-shirts today, so which is kind of cool. So you'll be able to wear what you're wearing in the end. So the screen is relevant because when you smear the ink through it, there's a really equal transference of ink that goes through the screen, right? Much more equal and consistent that you could do with a paintbrush or anything else. And so the stencil part, the paper cut part, there's different types of silk screen that you can create the stencil of the image on the screen that would block up the necessary holes in the screen, so the ink is only going through the parts that you can see, that you want it to go through, and then the other parts are being blocked. So that the screen acts as something that supports the stencil of sorts, right? And in some other techniques, you can do it with emulsion, and you can you can put emulsion on the screen and develop it like they would have developed old-fashioned photographs in the old days. And so you could get like a really detailed kind of image to go through. This is a technique that's just a part of this discipline that I particularly learned this from Maxwell Taylor. Max is like a master artist that I learned. He's one of these people I said before, when I was like 20, he helped me learn how to do all these things. So some people know that I have this artwork that I developed, must be like almost 17 years ago, called This Is How Much I Love You. And so what we're gonna do is make a This Is How Much I Love You t-shirt using the stencils that we cut. And I'm gonna walk you through the process, right? So what I'm gonna need for you to do is use these scissors. So the artwork that I made 15 years ago was just a series of this phrase printed over and over and over again. So it's like an infinity of this phrase, right? And there was an aesthetic that went on with it because it would get really murky and difficult to read, and which I thought was kind of consistent with the concept. So, but what we're gonna do, yes, that's another show. So what we'll do is cut these up, tape them together, attach them to the screen, and then we'll go from there. So what I'm gonna need for you to do is, because I want these to be a little bit more close together, I need you to just cut right below the level of the words, like that, all the way down. We have one set of scissors, so you could just continue cutting this one all the way through, and we need to cut at least 3 of these.
I feel so tested.
There we go.
Will I cut it?
Yeah, we're definitely, if you don't pass this test, it's all over.
Yeah, you sound like my art teacher.
And so what we're doing right now is making the stencil. We're just cutting it up because there's the way that the words kind of relate to one another that I like to achieve. And don't feel like you need to make this perfect. When I was in art school, I was a senior in my art school. I was in a printmaking exhibition and I ended up winning this award, like the graduating printmaking award for Silkscreen.
That's awesome. Good. Should I take another one that you can cut?
Yes, please. And the person who was in charge of it, I used to making silkscreens then, and he said to me, I've never seen anybody make such a mess of the silkscreen process.
Oh, wow. But you won the award.
And he said, but I love it. So I still won. And so as Vanessa knows, like that's about in keeping with with my personality now. A hot mess. Still waiting to win another award though. I haven't won an award since then. Anyway, so yeah, if you print that one, cut that one, then we'll tape them together and then I'll show you the next phase. So one of the things when you're doing paper cut, it's kind of ironic because one of the things that printmaking as a discipline was developed for initially was that so you can make an addition of things, which basically meant that you can make copies of things and not have to like redraw things out over and over again. I'm going to move this t-shirt. You don't have to redraw things over and over again. And so that the screens or the blocks that you would use to make things would be make it so you can make a big addition. But when you do paper cut silkscreen, you only have the time that the paper is only good for the time that you have the ink on it. Okay. So once we're done printing these, you could never get this you could never make a duplicate of what we're doing, which I think is kind of cool in another way.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It has this kind of thing. So what I'm going to do, the way the artwork works, the way it looks in real life, is the words not lined up like this. It never is like over and over again. So what I'm going to do is cut these up a little bit so we could kind of rearrange it. So it looks like you can get senses of what the words are, but I want it to be a little different. And then one of them, we want it to be somewhat literal, so it'll come together like this. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take this blue tape, and this is what I think that lecturer meant, that from RISD. He's like, everything's a mess. So none of this even literally makes sense anymore, but that's the way that's how you know that it was mine, because it looks like a hot mess in the end of the day. But at least that's my...
Was this phrase inspired by a relationship?
It was
a girlfriend, a breakup?
It's about, like, I guess, the strength of love, which is important, and there's lots of people in your life that where that comes into play, where you have to being able to like reinvent love over and over again is kind of a necessity for it to be something that lives, So I'm just taping this together, and the reason I'm taping it together is because I need to make a stencil that is whole. I'm gonna put this, let's put this one here, so this one is kind of whole. You want to tape this last bit together for me, these little bits, and then let's do these two on the top.
Me and a knife again. Pressure, pressure, pressure.
So good, as you're putting it on there, the only criteria is try not to cover the holes of the writing.
Okay.
But all these little empty spaces in art, where we call those negative spaces, ink is gonna go through all of those areas, and that's gonna really create a nice effect. So this is the stencil that we've created. So what this is going to do is allow us, so we call all of the holes are the negative space. The paper is the positive space in this case. The paper is going to block the ink from going through the screen. Right. So the stencil, the squeegee, the ink goes on top of the screen, and we squeegee the ink over the top, right? This is a perfectly flat, true rubber edge with a sharp edge. This is the same concept that the guys who like squeegee your car, it's the same kind of thing. You get an equal consistency of ink going through on the top. So it means that our stencil needs to go on the bottom of the screen. Okay.
I would like to practice my squeegee before we put the stencil down.
Well, we'll get there. We'll get there. But you're gonna just jump into the deep end of the pool and hopefully learn how to swim.
I really want to practice.
That's the plan. We have the EMT in the back. Don't worry if it doesn't work out. So what we're gonna turn the screen over, and so one mistake that oftentimes people make, you have to do it. You have to flip the screen, flip the stencil the other way, right? So it goes this way. So the way we're looking at it now, if the camera was from our angle, we would see it this way. This is what we're gonna do in the thing above the thing. Gotcha. All right, sorry for reaching over you. All right, so what's gonna happen is now we're gonna use the same tape that we did to tape the stencil in place so it does not move. So this is just regular blue tape, and everybody who's in the tape world knows that blue tape is restickable tape. So we wanna just tape there so that doesn't move. So it's over the top. So anywhere where there's mesh on the screen, ink is gonna come through it.
Okay.
Because the ink, you don't even need to squeegee the ink through, it'll just seep through,
yeah.
right? So what we'll do is I'm just gonna tape this up real quick. So we cover, it's funny, like I want this to be messy and arbitrary, but I'm very particular about the parts I don't want for there to be mistakes. Like that's the mistake I don't want, but this mistake is intentional. Yeah. So basically I don't want ink to come through anywhere else because I want to control where I want the, I kind of liken it to like, you know, like when you see people dancing or like in the gymnasts in the gymnastics and they're doing the floor exercise and they can like flip and do all this crazy stuff, but they get penalized when they like step out of bounds.
Box, yep.
So they can like get wild, but it needs to be contained. And so there's something about that which I also like to believe that can be achievable. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let you tape this half of it so you can just tape in. So just tape, we're gonna leave these parts open. So just tape this part off. Got it? And if you cover up some of the letters, it's okay. And then for good measure, let's put one more.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to tape. Okay. So that's.
To the side?
I think that's outside of the thing, so that's fine.
Okay.
So basically now what we have, and like you should be able to see through the camera, so you see that. See? So that's what we're gonna get.
Yeah.
Okay? So now we have that. Because we've taped these parts together, that's enough. The other thing is when we put the screen down, when we put the ink on here and we swipe it through, just the ink going through the screen causes the stencil to stick. All right? So this is the ink. This is actually Silkscreen ink. You can pretty much do this with anything though. Okay? So this is where clean hands, dirty hands become a big thing. So we're gonna put the ink on here, pour it on like this, goop it on like that. Okay.
So are we gonna go down?
Yeah, so what we're gonna do is let me swipe one and then I'm gonna show you. Well, no, you do it. You can do it. I'm just gonna hold the screen. You wanna hold it with two hands. You want the squeegee to stay kind of at a 45-degree angle. And you kind of wanna swipe it from the top all the way to the bottom. And there's gonna be like ink caught in here. And then what we're gonna do is kind of like scoop it up and come back and like pound the ink at the top of the screen again. Okay, so the coverage is obviously a little bit wider, so ideally we would have to swipe it a couple of times, but let's just see where we get that first time, and then we put the ink, the squeegee over there.
Okay.
So I'm gonna hold it. So you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Squeegee down, angle, pull. Phenomenal. Fantastic. And then bring the ink back up to the top, and then move it over a little bit. Keep it in there and swipe it down again. Okay, and then bring it up to the top again and swipe the right side. You're a pro, you've done this before.
I've not done this before, but it's
Shanice.
very cool. I feel like an artist.
Okay, so then just take the ink now, put it up here and just kind of let it, like pop it up, like let it come off. And then what we want to do is just put that there. We're going to use our tape as our squeegee holder. And the test now is to see what we got from that. And then we're picking up from this one.
Oh,
there we go, there we go.
Yeah.
Look at that. Whoops.
Okay.
Okay, so you're able to get that. So that's how that comes through. So now we've done it on the paper. I think that's good enough for us to just jump straight into the shirt. Okay, so we're gonna start here, put that down, and then you're gonna do effectively the same thing you did before.
Okay.
All right? Okay, we're gonna give you a hold the screen.
Ready?
Go for yourself. Phenomenal. And then do the side. And one more on the other side. Okay, so we're gonna do this a second time because we need it to go lower as well.
Okay.
So this is the shirt reveal. Yeah, I could tell it's good because you can see how it's sticking.
Oh, it did it!
So that's the shirt there. You want another layer? You want that to be your shirt? You want one on the bottom? Get in there, there. I'm gonna hold the screen for you so it doesn't move. Okay. awesome sauce. And then we're gonna take that, put a little bit of excess ink there. Okay?
Right in.
Your hair. See, it's stuck a little bit. That's good though. Amazing.
Oh, that's so cool.
You go, and there you have your "This is how much I love you" t-shirt.
That is freaking cool, guys. I did that. Yay me.
Well done.
I'm an artist.
Well done. Officially.
Dirty gloves and a happy heart here at Echo Gallery. It was so exciting to be able to meet some of the phenomenal artists that will be at Fuse and then have my own artist experience. That's what the Baha Culinary and Arts Festival is all about, immersing you into everything that's happening. So be sure to get your tickets at bahamar.com.